In a world filled with various distractions and temptations, it's crucial for believers to remain steadfast in their devotion to God. When these temptations become obsessions, it can lead to idolatry. An idol, in its most fundamental sense, is anything that takes the place of God in our lives, becoming the center of our attention, our affection, and our worship. These idols can manifest in countless forms, from material possessions to relationships, and even our own selves. However, Scripture offers profound wisdom and guidance on how to identify and avoid these idols, ultimately leading us to place God as the true source of our peace, our joy, and fulfillment. In the following passages, I want to explore practical steps to identify common idols and how to avoid being ensnared by them. It is often challenging to recognize when something has taken the place of God in our lives because sin, let's face it, is deceitful. One telltale sign is the extent to which we derive joy and focus from it. If our hearts are consumed by something other than God, it has become an idol. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 5, Paul admonishes believers to put to death whatever belongs to your earthly nature, whether that's sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil, desires, and greed, which is idolatry. This warning from the Apostle Paul should awaken us to these temptations and strive for holiness. One of the most common idols is the pursuit of wealth and material possessions. The pursuit of money can lead to the neglect of spiritual and ethical values, as stated in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. A famous billionaire was once asked if there was anything else he needed in this life, and the billionaire responded, "More money." As you can see, material wealth never fully satisfies, no matter how much you have. And also, indulging in food, alcohol, or drugs to find comfort or escape can also become an idol. Philippians chapter 3, verse 19 warns against those who have set their minds on earthly things. An alarming statistic came out a couple of years ago that said at least 23.5 million Americans have battled substance abuse. That is almost the population of Australia. And so, while valuing and loving our families is important, they must not also take precedence over God. This can also be an idol. Jesus himself emphasized this in Luke chapter 14, verse 26. If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. These are hard words to swallow, but Jesus wants us to understand that following God is our main priority. In an age of social media, as we can tell, the worship of self and one's image and personal brand can easily become an idol. Galatians 5:26 cautions against conceit, provoking one another, and envying one another. So if you watch YouTube shorts for just a few hours, you will quickly notice how saturated our culture is with the worship of self. So, recognizing and addressing idols requires a deliberate shift in focus and devotion. In Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 through 38, Jesus provides a clear command. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. In fact, the reason this is the greatest command is because when you love God with all of your heart, you will obey all the other 613 laws in Scripture. For instance, if you love God, you won't steal. If you love God, you will not bear false witness against your neighbor. God alone is capable of filling the void in our lives and granting us true peace and joy. Psalm chapter 16, verse 11 assures us, saying, "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence. with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Ultimately, God, He wants us to erase idols in our lives and not to steal our joy, but rather to give us true freedom. He wants us to worship Him because that's what will give us the peace and the joy we are yearning for as humans that are created in the image of God. So, in a world that constantly bombards us with distractions and temptations, it is crucial to heed the warnings of Scripture against the worship of idols. These idols, whether material possessions, physical pleasures, relationships, or even self-centeredness, are finite and incapable of providing. These are all finite and incapable of providing lasting fulfillment. Whenever these distractions and temptations take place, remember that God always finds for you a way of escape. 1 Corinthians 10, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way of escape so that you can endure it. So by placing God at the center of our lives and obeying His commands, we can experience the true peace and joy that come from a deep and meaningful relationship with God. As believers, as Christians, as followers of Christ, let us strive to remove the idols that fight for our attention and turn our hearts wholeheartedly to the one true God who alone can satisfy our deepest longings. For this is the only way we can find ultimate fulfillment. Thank you so much for listening to today's YouTube video. You can find more articles like this and more encouraging devotionals at conformtojesus.com. Have a great rest of your day.